Hey, what is up guys, it's me, Cloud Gaming here, bringing you another Reddit Online video. In today's video, I'm going to be telling you what roles that I want to see come to Red Dead Online, and how they could be implemented, and what some rewards for these roles might be. Let's get into the video. So the first role that I would want to see come to Red Dead Online is a role that could be an extension of the collector role, but instead of picking up things like coins or jewelry, you could instead take pictures. So, for example, you might have to accept a contract from somebody who just ordered art to a museum, and you'd have to go to the museum and take a picture to show that it arrived. Or you might have to take a picture of a vault number for a bank robber or other things like that. So instead of collecting things, you would take pictures and then you would send the picture to the person. And this also opens it up to, instead of just having one person like Madame Nazar that switches every day, you could instead have different people who are in the same place, but it's on a 3-day cycle still. That way you go to different people in different places instead of one person who just moves every day. The second role that I would want to see come to Red Dead Online is a role kind of like a lawman role. So basically this role would be kind of like the bounty hunter role, but instead of hunting down people, instead you could go to a bank and stop a robbery, or you could go to a train and stop a train robbery, you could bust a moonshine operation, you could do all these different things that you would think a lawman would do in Red Dead Redemption 2, and this would open it up to, say, like a different lasso. Like, say you have a lasso, but on the end of it is a pair of shackles. So you throw it at somebody, but when you hog tie them, you cut off the shackles and put them on their hands and feet. Or maybe there's a different type of horse which could have like a little badge on it to signify your lawman status, and maybe that badge would serve as a little bit of armor and give the horse a little bit of extra health. The third role I would like to see come to Red Dead Online would be another extension of the bounty hunter role, but basically what you would do is you'd be an outlaw. So instead of busting bounties or doing what you would do in the lawman role, instead you would go to things like banks or trains. It'd basically be the opposite of the lawman role. So remember, if you've played the Red Dead Online story or the Red Dead Redemption 2 story, you would remember robbing a bank or a train. The activities would be like that, where you have to rob a bank, rob a train, maybe sell some goods for some other people, and do all the things that you would think an outlaw would do. And then you get money for that. And it would kind of be the opposite of the lawman role. So maybe at level 20 of both roles, they could clash and they could go against each other. So maybe at level 20, you could do a drug bust or for a lawman, and you would have to bust another role of a outlaw. Or maybe an outlaw would be robbing a bank and the outlaw would get away, but you'd have to tie up some of their lackeys, like somebody who helped them escape, and you'd have to take them to the sheriff's office for questioning, and then maybe you'd find a different NPC or the player who did it, take them in, and get money for it. The fourth role that I think would be really good for Red Dead Online is a role that could be an expansion of something like the trader role, and this would be a horse breeding and or selling role. So basically what you do is you go out into the wild and you can tame a horse, bring it into a stable or your horse selling house, and then what you would do is you would have to, it'd basically be import export. So you'd have to, say, go on a mission to get a horse, and you could get either a Tennessee Walker or a Morgan or a Kentucky Saddler, which would be the low end, and then maybe you'd get any of the Arabians for a medium end, and then it introduced 3 new different types of horses, which are the best horses in the game, and then those 3 horses would be the top tier. And as you get higher in the ranks, of course, you would unlock the top tier horses. But basically, you'd have the low tier, and if you add like a certain saddle and stuff, that increases the value. And you'd have a mid tier, and it be the same thing, and then you have a high tier. It's kind of like the import export of GTA Online. So maybe you'd have a mid tier, and you pay $50 for a saddle, and then you'd sell it for $80 more. Or you'd have a high tier, and you wouldn't pay for a saddle, and you would pay, and you just get the normal price. The final role that I would like to see in Red Dead Online is one that might be a little more boring, but it depends on how Rockstar implements it. It would be a letter delivery role. So basically, what you do is you go around and you might accept a contract to give a letter to somebody in Valentine from somebody in Armadillo. And based on how long it takes and how far you have to go, you get more or less money. So maybe you get a sell mission from Armadillo to Saint Denis, and you get like $200 from that. But if you get one from, say, Valentine to Rhodes, you'd only get like $30 or $40. And that also varies on how long you take. So maybe if you get from Valentine to Road in 10 minutes, you'd get a $15 bonus. Whereas if you get from Valentine to Road in 30 minutes, you just get the average price.